the channel, people, and today we're going to talk about some handy tips which I want to share with you if you're a plumber. Even if you're not a plumber, it's just handy tips about plumbing which some people should just know. So let's clear up the rumour of having good tools makes you a good tradesperson. I don't feel that's true. I've worked with many of people that their tool bag's super basic, but you know what? They know what to do with those tools, and the work what they produce from those tools are definitely high quality. So it's the person who has the tools and what they do with them at the end to create the masterpiece, or to create the pièce de résistance. Big words coming in these sessions, so you know we're growing, people. Right. I want to make sure you're liked, shared and subscribed to the channel before I carry on going. And I do leave my Instagram handle and all my other social media contacts underneath in the description box. So make sure you check them out. So let's get on with the next tip. As a plumber, you're going to learn when you're on the job. And every single job is definitely not the same, because you might be working in a commercial building. I work in residential buildings, but they're private residential buildings. But there is loads of different workplaces where you can work, and when you're working there, you're going to learn different things. You're going to learn that, you know, like some people, you can't be working from certain times to certain times. So there'll be no banging or no loud noises in between these times. So if you're thinking about doing an installation, and I work in West London, so I might be thinking about doing an installation, I might have to ask the customer, is there working times for that particular building? Because there is sometimes, and that is going to be disruptive, or that's going to allow me to look at my schedule and say to myself, I need to do a lot more planning to be able to execute this job in the time frame what I do need. Planning is definitely number one. So when you plan any build, what you're going to do, whether it's a bathroom or something like that, to make it run smooth for you as a plumber or for you as a homeowner, I would say plan it to a key. Because when you don't know what you want, it delays time. You think everybody else knows what you want. We don't. And at some points, me, myself, I've always advised to other people, go onto Pinterest. And Pinterest ain't paying me nothing to say this, but go onto Pinterest, and maybe we could do a deal anyway. Go onto Pinterest and look at the pictures. Send some of the pictures over, because the pictures have got things like the type of tiles it is, the type of design it is. Like someone was recently looking at a herringbone design, so I'm going to show you what a herringbone design looks like this. And you can also do that with tiles, but I'm not a tiler, I'm a plumber. So I'm only going to be doing the plumbing stuff. But I always advise people, you know, like to try and go down these roads, because they do lead to a line of success and a line of, do you know what? You got what you asked for. And are you okay with this as we go step by step? That's another thing as well. So with the planning, you want to go a step-by-step plan. And what I do now is, before I always thought I've got it in my head, innit? Like I can work it out from when I get there. But if I have a step-by-step plan, I'm always able to execute it, and it's going to go to time, innit? So people now see me working more professionally, because we're able to execute a job at this end date and give them this completion date, so they will be moving in and we'll be moving out, and we could get paid. That's just how it works. So planning your job, massive, massive, massive thing to do. What I've also learned from being a plumber is read the instructions. As dumb as it sounds, yeah? You know, like taking that 25 minutes out or 20 minutes out to read the instructions of something which you're going to install, which might be a generic thing, but you need to understand how it works so you're able to explain it to the customer. Perfect example is like, look, I fitted loads of washing machines in. You only need cold feed, and you're going to need a drain to go out, so you need to cut into the waste. You might want to put an adapter on if that's what you're doing. But that type of setup and giving it to someone, I also have to read the instructions for the machine, because I haven't got this machine at home, so I don't know how to operate it, and I want to see it go through its cycle to make sure that I've not got any leaks anywhere. Do you get it? So things like that is things that I've got some skills to deal with stuff like that now. It's called Google, isn't it? You just Google stuff and you're able to find out the manual. Everyone's installer manual from the manufacturers. That's like holy grail, isn't it? Go by that step by step. And if you have a problem, call them up and they're more than willing to help. And people can see that you've got the ability to find these things out, and they like that because you're able to take initiative of an action and take action on it. Do you get it? Like, it's something to do, right? Now you're here to do it and you're doing it. That's great. Excellent. I can leave that person to their job. Communicating with customers. That's very, very important. So when I first started, you would always put off the fact of like talking about money with the customer and leave that to the end. And speak about it from the beginning, because at the end of the day, it might be out of your remit and it might be out of their remit to be able to afford this installation or afford what you want to do or afford your hours. And when you add everything up, it might be a bit too much. So I just be very clear with people, because that being very clear with people stops grey areas and stops people from, you know, not paying you. Don't get me wrong, I've had stories and I've got stories where people have not paid me, but that's not where my focus is, because what I understood out of all of those things is that I learned some bloody lessons. And the lesson is that don't get yourself into something with someone which you can't afford to lose, or you haven't got anything to back it up on. If you've got an agreement which you might sign, both of you sign an agreement saying, yeah, okay, we're going to do this work, and yeah, you're going to pay me this work, cool, that's fine. But again, a lot of these new relationships, when you meet new people, unless you actually have that as like a PDF or something like that, it might just be hard to do, innit? But maybe you might suggest for yourself to just write a PDF which is blank, and you leave a space for their name, you leave a space for the amount, and you say this is the amount of work which will be done, and so on and so forth. It's an idea, just putting it out there to people. It's an idea. That's one thing I would say. And another thing is going to be communicating with your suppliers, because getting my business off the ground, yeah, and getting it moving, suppliers is something that I'm heavily relying on. Supplying of materials, supplying of stuff which I need, making sure that I could do jobs in the time frame which I do need to do them in, and it's not slowing me up, because I like to be like bam, 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 bam. That's what type of person I like to be. I like to be organised and be able to drop jobs in and be able to have my free time, because I value my free time as much as probably other people do. Those of you who are probably watching this video now, you value your free time. That's why you're thinking about tips, which maybe you're not thinking of yourself, but which other people are saying. But definitely take some notes from this video, because I feel that like we don't talk about all our experiences, because we feel like the game is mine now. Like I'm holding all the game. You're not. Believe me, you're not. There's big wigs in this industry which is like plumbing, and they're holding the game because they got high-end customers. That's something I'm going to talk about in another total video. But I want to let you guys know that we can talk about all these subjects, because I've been there. I've been there for a long time, so I'm open to be able to speak to people, to be able to start a line of communicating and speaking about ways where we can help other people, but also share life experiences in it, because I feel that that's what people get out of this when you post on social media, is the life experiences, a third party through other people. So the stories which I'm telling now, people can resonate with some of them, and some others it can be food for thought for later, but they can understand that I've went through something like this. I'm not saying that they're always going to go through the same stages, everyone's going to go through their own, but this is what I've went through, and hopefully it will help you, so you can transfer it into some part which is going to help in your life. Do you get it? That's the whole point of these tips videos. It's not to be like, oh, guess what, you're not doing this right and you're not doing that right. It's not. That's not the whole point in any of these videos. It's just so people can have an understanding that I wish I knew some of them things before. And this is something that I don't hear a lot of people talking about, but I feel it's one of the important ones apart from planning. It's your finances. How much money you're spending out on a job, to how much money you're making, to how much money is all profit. Because these are things which the businessman understands. These are things which people who are money people get. I'm a Taurus by my star sign, so I am very much a money person. So I do look at these types of things because it's part of my business. If the business is not profitable, it's no point having it. Let's just keep it real, innit? I know some people, we come from construction as people who want to be grafters, and I'm a grafter and da 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 da. That's cool. Hats off to you. But again, I like to get paid, and I like to live a comfortable life, and I like nice things as well. Again, each to their own. I'm not dogging anyone who goes really hard. I'm just saying that for me, myself, I like to work smarter and work in a way which I see a level of progression for myself and for even others around me. So that's how I move. So when I'm talking about your finances, I'm talking about when I first got started with my own plumbing company, which is Mr. London Plumber. I needed tools. I needed stuff. I needed to invest. I needed to not look at my profit and margin or look at how much money I was making. I just needed to push it back into what I needed because I needed a light. I needed something which was going to be able to be a main whirly gig for me where I could unblock sinks and still charge money for it. I needed to have tool bags. I needed to have tools. There was a lot of I needs. So I needed these things and I made a list for myself. And I said, once I get these things, I'm able to do these lists of services, which might be something like this. Let me throw up this list. So these are the lists of services which I said I was able to do. And without those tools, I wasn't going to be able to do them because how are you going to do it? You're not going to borrow stuff. Do you know what I mean? I know you can start off with some basic things, but at the end of the day, the progression within the tools, what you get, sometimes allows you to do a wider spectrum of jobs. And that's what I was more interested in, is a wider spectrum for a niche audience. The niche audience I'll get to after. Once you start to have a once you start to manage your money, you can now start to look at your profits. But again, I think people don't like to look at those until the end of the year because you want to see how it balances itself out, because it's nice to know that you have months where you're busier than when you have a downtime basically, or there is less work. So you may be thinking out of pushing a different service to be able to take up that spare time what you've got in this sector. Me, I've chose to float in and out of teaching and also float in and out of work because plumbing is my trade, so I could always do plumbing, but I could also teach, which will be a seasonable thing. And when I'm not doing that, I do my own thing, do plumbing. For me, that's worked, but I also like a level of stability when it comes to something like that. So I went for a better option, which was suited myself, which was to get something full-time, and I've been happy with it since. And I'm still been able to do my bits and pieces or do my PJs or jobs which I want to do when I want to do it. So that's worked for me personally. That isn't for everybody. Some people want to try and make it, but living in London, the cost of everything, I just can't risk it at the time, me being now. Like, this is my good years, so I want to be able to definitely have something to fall back on, but also have something which is really solid as well. But building your customer relationships, that is something I definitely do want to touch on. It's nice to be, oh, hi guys, this is what we can do for you, blah, 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 blah. Be really energetic and be giving people that energy when they do come to see you as a customer. You do go and see them and quote them or something like that. You give your best and your professional side of you as much as you can, you know. But building those relationships with people and them seeing how you are, they're going to promote you to others. I've always just used social media as an advert to who I am, because I'm not going to meet all these people in real life. But if they watch my videos, if they've seen, they have some type of understanding how I do stuff and how I'm going to operate. So they probably buy more into that at the end of the day, because most people do the same job, but it's just how you're going to finish it. And if you are attention to detail, and if you do know what you're talking about, people like to generally go with those types of people. And that's what's worked for myself, which I've been happy because I've had to work at that. And I think I first got those skills from customer service when I used to work in JD Sports. Basically, when I first doing my apprenticeship, that was the first 2 years of my apprenticeship. I worked in JD Sports on the weekend, and it got me out of the phobia of talking to people, period, because there was loads of customers coming in all the time. Excuse me, I want this train, I want this, I want that. And now I've got to talk to people and serve them, and to be able to say, all right, here, have a nice day, blah blah blah, thanks, if you need anything, you can I assist you? And that really helped me, you know. I understand that helped me get on over this phobia of chatting with people all the time. So that customer service thing is definitely something I would recommend to you guys if you've never thought about it, you know, like, oh, how's my customer service skills? I think it's okay, but when do you work on it? When do you interact with people? When do you try to interact with people? Like, I still, even now today, I still have ideas of, like, you know, getting more business and how I'm going to do that. Even though it might seem like I'm in a more of a comfortable position, I'm always looking for another opportunity to be able to say, oh, okay, here's an area which I wasn't operating in, which I did want to operate in. And that's one thing I would definitely say. So building those relationships with your customers is definitely important. Letting them know that you are the person for the job. And I let them know that I'm not just a person who's here to just do one job one time and then I'm off. You can call me all the time. I'm down. I ain't running anywhere. I'm fixing everything. I'm leaving it how I would leave it in my own house. And you can call me again. That's it. And that way, I've got repeat business off of them, but I've also got business off of their friends as well. So, which is really helpful because I don't need to tell them who I am. I don't need to tell them, explain again about the prices, because they probably asked their friend. They probably said, oh, was it expensive? And they said, yeah, it was expensive, but it's good though. And they said, oh, I don't know if I can afford it now. But yeah, if you did go with someone, I would suggest you go with this person. And like I said, for me, I've been thankful because that is how your business echoes what you do. That's your, that's like being your USP, I'm sure that's called. It's something to do with, like, you know, voicing what you do and all that stuff. I think it's to do that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm quite sure. So those are some tips what I would go with as a plumber who has had, like I said, I've had this 18 to nearly 19 years of experience working for companies. I worked for a family-run business first. Then I worked for a big, massive company, which you just became a number. And then I went to doing some price work eventually. So I went from maintenance to price work, which was interesting because you got to see about the lad's lifestyle, innit? And that weren't for me. Being cold and being outside and all these jokes and all that. I'm not a joker, if people know me. I'm quite a serious person. But nah, that wasn't for me. But at least I can say I've done it. And I think sometimes as a plumber, people are respecting a little bit more when you go out and you do that graft and you do all of that. But at the end of the day, you just need to respect that person that puts that money into your account. Yeah, that's all I think. And it doesn't matter what other people think. I get it that you might feel like you're missing out on something. I felt like that I was missing out on something. So that's why I tried different things. Again, I said to you, I tried maintenance, I tried price work, and I've been on site in it. So we've done both sides of it. I've done domestic work as well for quite a long time, which if you watch any of my YouTube videos or if you watch any of my Instagram videos, you will see that the Instagram handle is always in all of my posts underneath, just to remind you. But yeah, that's the way I have had my journey, and that's the way I can tell you about some of these tips what I left earlier. Let me know what you think in the comment section below this video. This was me giving you some plumbing tips and looking back on my own career as a plumber. Maybe some things I would wish I knew and wish that people told me, but you've been told now in this video. So let us know in the comment section what you've been told or what things are tips for you underneath this video. It's Mr. London Plumber. Make sure you like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next upload. Let's get it.